long and hard-fought battles doesn't give warriors the time they need to repair their war gear, but sometimes you want to keep wearing that worn leather garb that has served you so well. In this video, we'll be looking on how to paint heavily worn leather. For this guide, we'll be using a Cities of Sigmar Alchemite Warforger, as it has a heavily worn and engraved war apron, keeping him safe from those red-hot rune cubes, which we have already painted from a previous video. But you can use this guide to paint any worn or battered leather found on your models. If you're new to painting or want to brush up on your skills, you can check out the Citadel Colour Painting Essentials videos to learn all about paints and painting techniques. The paints we'll be using are on the screen right now. We'll also have a list of additional equipment we've used, but you can use whatever brushes you feel most comfortable with, and you can swap out the mediums for water instead. For our undercoat, we have used Wraithbone, but you may have already undercoated your models or painted them up to a certain point, so don't worry if you do. We'll be base coating with our first colour anyway. We'll start with a base coat of XV88 over the leather areas. We just need a couple of thin coats if you're starting to paint your model. But if you have already painted most of your models so far, just be mindful that you might need another coat over a darker colour. Depending on how big or small the area you are painting, it's best to use a brush suitable for that space. Here I'm using a small base brush for the majority of the apron. This colour is lighter than most brown base paints, but gives us a tanned hide feel, which gives us a great starting point for our next colours. Next we'll thin down 1 part snakebite leather with 2 parts contrast medium. We'll use this to shade all over the XV88 we just painted, giving it a slight shade but also adding a bit of saturation to the leather, adding a slightly browner tone to it. We don't want to apply too much though, so we'll be using a medium layer brush as it gives us enough control to apply this colour without applying too much. If you find it starting to pull though, just soak it away with a clean, dry brush. Now we'll add more of a darker, dirtier tone towards the edges of the leather. We'll thin down 1 part Garrigach Sewer with 3 parts contrast medium. For the first layer, we'll apply it to the top edges of the apron and the main recesses down towards the bottom. This is to add some colour, but also start defining those shadows and worn edges. Remember to leave every layer to fully dry before moving on. Then with the second layer, we'll add more of the same mix but less on the apron, focusing towards the bottom and the recesses. You can start to see it getting darker, but also acting as our shade and texture for those small cuts and rips. Then you can add a third layer just on those worn edges around the apron. Just be mindful of all of those layers pooling, as we don't want to add too much on each layer. This is why building up the colour with thinner layers adds more character without losing those details with heavier paints. With our contrast fully dry, we can add some scratches and define those edges with our XV88 again with a small layer brush. This is so we can tie back in that base coat colour, as any scratches would show through that untouched colour from the inside of the hide. We don't want to highlight every scratch, just those larger or most prominent on the leather, just like the magic icons on the apron. We'll make sure that we get a point on our brush by rolling it on the palette. Make sure our paint is thin, and by twisting the brush we'll get all those bristles together. This also helps to control how much paint we apply on the model too. And to finish off our leather, we'll add a smaller edge highlight of Xandru dust on top of the scratches and edges we've already applied. We just want to paint the smallest of edges, so if you feel the highlight is too big or long, you can always use XV88 to tidy back over. The sharper those highlights are on the most raised areas, the more defined and worn this leather will look. And there we are! Our Alchemite Warforger's magically imbued apron is looking dirty, worn and ready for more battle. For more tutorials, tips and tricks, check out citadelcolour.com or head to your local Warhammer store where our amazing staff will be happy to help you. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video and we'll see you next time. Bye bye!